widok był okropny. Ale nie żałuję. Po pierwsze, chciałam mieć pewność, że to jest na pewno moja mama. To miałam gdzieś tam z tyłu głowy, dochodzą do różnych pomyłek, tak dochodzi. Po raz ostatni ją zobaczyć. No ale to już nie była moja mama.
A job comes over the radio that there's an RCC need at the town centre of Darlington. You don't know what you're dealing with until you get there, but you start to kind of piece things together as it comes over the radio, and you can already get a sense that there's people gravitating towards Easson Road.
Monika had been on the pavement. We can see on the CCTV footage that she's either looking at a phone or reading something. At the same time, unbeknown to her, Lewis Heslop in a car had travelled down Gladstone Street. He turned right onto Easson Road, and it's at that point he mounted the pavement where Monika was stood, and Monika took the full brunt of the car.
Monika was being tended to by several paramedics, and I think the thing that sticks with me the most, it was just the stillness of her, from the manner that the paramedics were working on her and their level of concentration and what was going on there, that you could tell she was extremely seriously injured. Some people might think 40 miles an hour isn't a fast speed, but when you imagine all that force going through a human body, it's horrendous.
The hospital has said she was unlikely to survive. She was in the intensive care unit, ventilated, not breathing for herself at that moment in time. It's hard to take in when you know that someone's likely to die, but you've got to go into work mode and start investigating it how we would any road traffic collision.
Długo chyba nie mogłyśmy uwierzyć, że no jak to, no mama miała wypadek? Niemożliwe, nie.
Lekarz powiedział, że ona nie wie, że ja jestem i że ona nic nie słyszy. Nie wierzę w to. Po prostu kiedykolwiek ją dotknęłam i kiedykolwiek do niej mówiłam, za każdym razem aparatura wariowała. Uważam, że ona wtedy wiedziała, że ja jestem.
When they left the hospital, they just asked us to stay and asked us to stay with her. And when the life support machine was turned off, Monika didn't die and she continued to survive. Her life then wasn't a life. There was part of her brain that was still alive, but she wasn't functioning.
Like I say, we have got a crew travelling. Is anybody in the car hurt?
I don't think so. I think the people that were in the car have got out the car.
Okay.
Lewis Heslop had been out of prison only a number of weeks. He was driving a vehicle he shouldn't have been in. He wasn't insured. He didn't have a licence. He was intoxicated through alcohol. And we managed to gather everything we needed to consult with the Crown Prosecution Service to authorise a charge. And that at that time was one of causing serious injury by dangerous driving. The maximum sentence for that offence is 5 years. Is that a sentence that really reflects the crime? No, it wasn't.
Byłam wściekła. I cały czas powtarzałam sobie, że życie nie jest sprawiedliwe. Może to jest okropne, co powiem. Dlaczego ten człowiek, który spowodował wypadek, nie ma żadnych obrażeń, a moja mama walczy o życie?
I guess in my mind I always knew it was going to happen, but she'd survived for so long, you just never knew when that day was going to come. But in June of 22 it finally came.
We could have just left it. The family were under the impression that it was finalised, it was done. But as a team, we felt that we hadn't got the right conviction. and they wanted to see this through and push to see if we could reconvict a second time, this time for death by dangerous driving as opposed to serious injury. Because she'd remained alive for so long, we had to connect her death with the original RTC. Could she have died of an infection? Could she have died of a heart attack and something completely unrelated?
And the only way we knew we could do that is if we had a specialist examine her brain, and we couldn't do it any other way. These are all the tough and heart-wrenching conversations we've had to have with the family, or with the assistance of an interpreter, so it's never been easy. But if we wanted justice, we need to show that we're still here to fight for her.
Mr Heslop had already served his time, so to reconvict Mr Heslop a second time, we had to convince the Attorney General that it was in the public interest, and it was also in the interest of the family.
The whole file went to them, and it was reviewed, and then they came back to let us know that the Attorney General had authorised the charge. We were proud. I was really proud. I was proud of us, proud for the family, and then you think about Monika for a moment and think, yeah, we haven't forgotten about you.
So the fact that we've rearrested him and told him that he's going to have to go through this again, yes, there's part of me that, you know, did feel for Mr Heslop, but that to one side, Mr Heslop was a disqualified driver. He was intoxicated and he knew what he was doing before he got behind that wheel, and ultimately he's killed Monika. So my sympathy only went so far for him.
Road death causes absolute trauma. So to me, we had to do it. It is the right thing to do.
We're quite fortunate that we were funded to go over to see Monika's family in person. That visit was probably one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done in my career.
And I was really nervous. I was worried that they might have blamed me for reinvestigating it, blamed us for putting Monika through a post-mortem and taking her brain out and actually putting her through more pain, but that was far from what they thought.
They couldn't have been more grateful.
Ktoś, nie tylko my pamiętamy o Monice, ale jeszcze ktoś. No, dzięki wam, policji, osoba, która spowodowała śmierć mojego dziecka, odpowie za to.
The family asked us whether we wanted to go and see where Monika had been laid to rest, something that we weren't expecting. But how could I ever say no? For me as well, it's that little bit of closure. We went to a beautiful cemetery, colourful beyond belief. The family allowed us to buy some flowers on behalf of the investigation team, and they took us to the graveside to say a prayer for her. Yeah, it makes you feel good. There's not many things do make you feel good in the police, but the small things that can give you a nice feeling. And they are such a strong family. I think that's what really hits home, knowing they've allowed us in and knowing what they allowed us to go through with them just for that moment, to say our respects and our goodbyes to Monika. Yeah, the moments in your police career. The moments where you don't expect in policing to be able to do that. And I feel really proud, you know, that we have these relationships with families that we brought together in the craziest of circumstances. They get the police thrown into their lives when they don't even want us, never mind the British police in their country. But yeah, it's the right thing to do. We're human beings. Being a man myself, no one's going to sit there and not be affected by a young girl who's grown up over the last 7 years without a mum. There she is, trying to be the lady of the family and looking after grandma, and yeah, the touching moments.
No nie, życie bez mamy, mimo że mam dziadków, to nie jest to samo. Mama zawsze mnie jakoś tak rozumiała, była oparciem, no była taką najważniejszą częścią mojego życia, tak? Nie umiem się z tym pogodzić.
It's an active choice that someone's made to have a drink and get behind the wheel of that car, and it's not a secret. The message is out there and it's been out there for decades. Everybody knows the risks that are associated with it, and the thing that kind of makes you really quite angry and upset is that it tends to be the innocent party who's minding their own business who ends up paying the consequences for it.
Yeah, Lewis Heslop will have a prison sentence and he'll probably be suffering, don't get me wrong. He pled guilty, he's done the right thing from the moment we met him. He pled guilty in interview, he pled guilty at court, he's done all the right things, but actually it's too late then, isn't it?
7 years down the line, Mr Heslop hasn't moved on with his life. He's already been to prison once. Mr Heslop is now going to go to prison again because of what he did within our county area. If you choose to drive through our county area and you're disqualified from driving, or you're over the prescribed limit, and you take somebody's life away from them, then the team will do everything possible to make sure that you're convicted of the right offence.
I can't explain the amount of living rooms I've sat in, the amount of mortuaries when we've opened the door to let the family in to do an ID, and it's too many. Families are left just ruined. And we will do everything we can when people are put in that much pain and go through that much heartache to try and just make it a little bit easier. And it's for them reasons that I feel compelled to do it. It's ruining people's lives.